leading you right up to magic. It's magic at 6:30. Ho, ho, it's magic, you know. Cannot believe it's not so. Yes! The New York Yankees with an incredible win in the Bronx against the hated, vile, disgusting, cheating Houston Astros who probably thought they had a win. You probably thought you had a win. I was going to be the idiot talking all day about what kind of a statement the Yankees were going to make, getting embarrassed early in the game. Tyone has absolutely nothing. His worst start of the year by a mile, but arguably the worst start of the year from a starting pitcher, barring some of the ones Cole has given you this year. I mean, it's just he starts the game with hit by a pitch, 3 runs, home runs all over the place. It looks like the Yankees are going quietly into the night, not a hit since the first inning. And then the 9th inning happens, and it's just, as it begins, I know this is how you must have felt watching it, Tommy. As it begins, and it starts with a walk, and it starts with a second walk, and suddenly the inning is underway, you just know it's going to happen with this team right now. There's something special. There's something magical. And, okay, maybe they didn't take him out to the woodshed like I suggested yesterday, but I think they made it pretty clear. The Yankees don't lose. The Yankees particularly don't lose in this building, and the Houston Astros are going to have to come out with them more than a crappy closer and a couple of 3-run home runs if they're going to want to beat the New York Yankees in the Bronx. Lugauer, how you doing?
I am miserable.
Woo!
We'll get into the debacle that took place in Brooklyn last night with the Knicks a little later in this freaking statement that Leon Rose put out. But what the Astros did in the 9th inning last night is a fireable offense. You have a 3-run freaking lead in the 9th inning, and you walk the first 2 batters, and then you give up the home run to Aaron Hicks. And I don't want to hear from Yankee fans today praising Aaron Hicks. Everyone to a man wanted him gone, so we're not going to celebrate him today. So I don't want to hear that.
We
and
aren't?
Then, no, because not Yankee fans. I could celebrate. I could be like, that was a big hit by Aaron Hicks. You included wanted Aaron Hicks gone. Number 2, someone explain this to me. Why Aaron Judge got anything good to hit there. Are you kidding me? He's the hottest hitter on the planet, the MVP. It's a 3-0 count. Roll the ball up to the mound. You got to walk him. You can't give him a pitch to hit there. And now I have to... This is exactly what I was talking about yesterday with Edwin Diaz on the mound of the Bronx, because what you saw there is what we're going to see there when the Mets play them. But it's not about the Mets right now. What the Astros did there with the 3-run lead was a joke, okay? They freaking melted.
No.
They melted, bro. 2 walks to start the inning with a 3-run lead, like I said, is a fireable offense. And then you have Aaron Judge. You cannot let Aaron Judge beat you in that spot. It's a 3-0 count. Walk the guy. What are we doing?
I agree with you, but here's a couple things. One, I absolutely can celebrate Hicks, okay? Just because when a player's going through it, doesn't yeah, I agree. All of us wanted him to play less, certainly. I'm not sure what you could do with him in his contract and if cutting him was a legitimate possibility. But yeah, we all wanted him to play less. Hell, he lost his starting center field position. Judge is the new center fielder, but he's come on as of late. And he's turned it around. He's come up with several big hits, including that mammoth 3-run home run that absolutely brought them back into this game. And he deserves all the credit for fighting back. I'm back. John Boy says that I'm back in on Hicksy. How are you not back in on Hicksy? We're allowed to be down on a guy and have him come back and us celebrate him. So that's number 1. Number 2, I agree with you. You can't.
Come on!
You can't let Judge beat you. But here's the thing. He doesn't. It's 3-0. And he throws them a splitter. He doesn't throw them the fastball. I understand Judge was waiting on it. That's a great piece of hitting.
Roll the ball up there. Put the 4 fingers up. Come on.
Then an error beats you. Then a pass ball beats you. You don't want the bases loaded there. I understand it's 3-0. I understand.
Chris.
I'm just saying it's not
UFOs
crazy.
could land in center field, too.
It's not crazy.
Just
but
don't
the point
pitch
is,
the Judge.
It's one thing. Listen. Anytime a team comes from behind 3 runs in the 9th inning, you can look at the opposing team and the mistakes made. But I'm sorry. At 57-18, you have to start looking at the Yankees and calling this special and call it what it is. And you can call me a cocky Yankee fan. Yep. You can say I'm being pie in the sky. We'll see what happens. Rosenberg, the producer today. Doesn't matter what happens in the regular season. Tell me when you win the World Series. Everything else means nothing. Whatever, fine. I'm not telling you they're guaranteed to win a championship. But you can't. When the Mets were going through what they were going through, just to bring it back to the Mets as you like to do, when they were going through what they were going through and winning games against St. Louis, you can't believe, throwing balls away. I mean, just they went through this thing. I was like, wow, this team's got a little bit of magic to it. Well, I'm sorry. You have to look at this Yankee team and you have to admit they laid off some tough pitches. And they just found a way to win a game. They almost won it in the 8th if it wasn't for Tucker making a great play in right field. Yeah. They almost won it there. They were ready to take the game there. There is a never say die, never out of a game. They are going to fight to the last minute. The bullpen's good enough, even at times when they can be spotty. The bullpen's good enough to keep you close into a game, and this team is resilient as any Yankee team I can ever remember. So, yeah, I understand the Yankee haters. You want to say, well, listen, they blew it. How do you pitch the Judge? How do you walk the first 2 leadoff hitters? Of course. There's going to be mistakes made if you're going to blow a 3-run lead in the 9th. But let's talk about how the Yankees are resilient, and this is their 9th walk-off win. If this was in a vacuum, it doesn't happen. They're having a ho-hum season. Wow, man, the Astros really blew an opportunity to take one from the Yankees. The Yankees grabbed this game by the throat, like I hope they would, and they told the Astros, you are not beating us no matter how much it looks like you're going to.
Dude,
it was a fabulous night in the Bronx.
The magic is back in the Bronx.
No question.
The ghosts are back. Bro, when they were showing those graphics and they were putting years up, there are people alive that from those years. It was like, this is the most walk-offs from 1943 and this, that, and the other. Bro, this is like insane.
No, it's insane.
The historical pace. And they never say die. That game in Tampa where Judge put it, they thought they won that game.
Right.
Like, they're never out of it.
Right.
Like, it is unbelievable, the resilience of this team. And it just feels like with every win, with every walk-off win, the confidence grows and grows. They're never out of it. And they are just going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with, especially at Yankee Stadium.
So, let me give you a moment here as a Yankee fan where when you really look at it and to me make the point, wow, this team really is special and resilient, and it's not what you think. Obviously, the 3-run home run from Hicks is a huge hit, the biggest hit of the game, bar none, obviously, to win this game, Judge the walk-off. But what really, a little moment you look at and go, wow, most of the time this ruins a game. When Kiner Falefa gets thrown out.
Yep.
Stealing second base. And I totally think the Yankees got screwed by the cameras because the dirt doesn't allow you to see the foot hit the base. The dirt comes up in the slide. If you looked at it from the outfield, you could see the bag move on impact before the tag. But when you look at that side angle, there's so much dirt between his foot and the base, you can't see it.
But you agree you can't overturn that?
No.
You can't overturn
that's fine.
that.
I'm fine with that.
As much as I hate the Yankees, whatever, it was an out. It was called an out on the field. He's out.
I think he was safe, but it wasn't.
That's fair. But you can't overturn it. I thought he was safe.
But you couldn't overturn it. I agree. 100. I didn't expect him to overturn it. I'm certainly not going to cry about it.
Fair.
That ruins the inning. 99. You got the bottom of your lineup. I know how great Trevino is.
And he got a hit.
And he got the hit. But he's got a strike on him. It's at the bottom of the lineup. You got this rally going. He tries to steal. He gets thrown out. Now you got nobody on, one out with the bottom of your lineup on. I'm thinking, all right, this is an extra inning game. For them to rally at that point and get Judge that at bat to win that game, even with the Gallo strikeout, who we're going to get plenty of Gallo in today. I mean, it's just getting to the point now. It's just horrendous. He can't hit a high fast. Stanek comes in throwing 100 miles an hour.
Oh, dude, he's easy meat.
If he puts it anywhere above his belt,
he can't
touch it. It's just obvious. If you throw 97 or higher and you put it above Gallo's belt, you are going to strike him out. It's a waste of pitches throwing anything else. You throw 3 fastballs right down the middle, up a little bit, he can't hit it. But even with that strikeout in the mix, to get that out, and because with him on first, the infield single, you got him on first. They're talking about what do you do? Do you bunt? There's analysis from Beltran.
Oh, it's
in
embarrassing.
This game.
Yeah, it was horrible.
That is
horrific.
It's unimaginable for someone of his baseball acumen, which he has to have.
Oh, dude, he's a borderline Hall
of Fame player,
yes.
And he was a smart, things came easy to Carlos Beltran. And he always made the right.
The Mets hired him to be their manager.
For him to the analysis, and we'll get into it. Some of the things he said, including during the Trevino at bat, when he's asked whether he would bunt or not, is just amazing to me. But that being aside, apparently the ratings are phenomenal. But who cares about that? To get that out, I thought that killed the inning. And to still come back from that point on, for Trevino to get that hit, LeMahieu to take that 100-mile-an-hour fastball just off the corner, to allow Judge to have that at-bat, and then to have Judge come through on a 3-0 pitch, you're right. I'm sorry. I have no problem going after him. I really don't. The minute you get to 3-0,
of course,
you do not put a ball anywhere near
and
the strike
none
zone.
Of those 3 pitches were anywhere near close. They clearly were pitching around him. You get to 3-0, you put the 4 fingers up. You don't even risk it.
He figured, I'm not going to throw him a fastball. That's the only. He's going to be looking fastball. I'll give him something with a little bit of a plug on it, something with a little bit of a loop in it.
Yeah, it looped all right into left field.
He won't swing at it. I'll get him 3-1, and then maybe I'll get him to chase from there. That's what he was thinking.
Well, let me give you perspective from.
Instead, he's all over it and wins the game. Goes in. and ends the evening, and it leads into what we're going to talk about next with his arbitration. We're good. You want to say something?
Let me give you a perspective from somebody, not a Yankee fan, looking at it, admittedly a Yankee hater. As soon as they tied that game, it was over. It was over in my eyes. There was no way the Astros were going to win that game. When they tied the game, the Yankees, in my mind, I watched it. Right. I watched it. I didn't want to. I wanted to turn it off. But we're doing a show, whatever. I wanted to turn it off. I knew that game was over because he ripped the soul out when he hits that 3-run.
Don't disagree with you, but they get the infield single, which seems a little bit lucky. Connor Fluffer puts the ball in play. They get the infield single. To get it wiped away with a stolen base like that, I'm not saying they're going to lose the game. What I'm saying is I'm impressed they won it in that inning. You got one out. The air is sucked out of the building. The momentum is sucked out of the rally. You know you got the bottom of the order coming up, and Trevino gets in that little loop single up the middle. LeMahieu gets the walk, and then the best hitter on the planet, who thankfully, after all the discussion we have had about this over the last few weeks, they avoid arbitration with their hero, who yet again comes through with the great hit, the big hit. They win the game. Judge walks it off. He's already had a couple walk-offs this year. The Yankees ninth. There's magic brewing in the Bronx, and they're going to sit in a room and tell some arbitrator why the Aaron Judge isn't worth $21 million. Thank the good Lord that this was avoided. And it is a compromise from Judge. I don't know how much it's a compromise from the Yankees, I'll be fair, because I never thought they would win this. I thought this was a clear lock arbitration win for Judge. So for Judge to step back, and if you haven't heard, today the arbitration with Aaron Judge and the Yankees was scheduled at 12 o'clock. Yankees would be arguing for $17 million. Judge would have been arguing for $21 million. And the arbiter would have picked one or the other. The arbiter doesn't say, let's split the baby.
Sure.
He rules in one favor or the other. And so they were on lock, and Judge was on record saying he was going to be there. He was going to be on the Zoom. He was going to wake up after probably what was a glorious night of celebrating in the Bronx. Wake up a little early, make sure he was there with a suit on watching, but thankfully they were able to avoid that and come to agreement. That now, right before the agreement, you heard the story, from Buster Olney, saying the Yankees had offered the $19 million, and that Judge had turned it down.
But we find out there's incentives now. If he wins MVP and the World Series MVP.
So the arbitration settlement is he'll get $19 million for this year plus incentives of $250,000 if he wins the MVP, which right now he's the front runner for.
Sure is.
And then $250,000 if he wins the World Series MVP. So he's going to make a guaranteed $19 million with a possible 19.5, which is fair. When it comes to these things, it's fair. 100%. Does he deserve $21 million the way he's playing? He deserves that and more.
He deserves double with the way he's carrying the best team in the league.
He's the best. They're the best team in the league. He's the best player on the team. He plays center field and he hits walk-off home runs and walk-off doubles down the line, or a single, because obviously the game ends once he hits first base. But to avoid that was huge for this team. Nothing is stopping them right now. We've got 3 more games. You bring on Verlander tonight, and you make the statement you're looking to make. Last night was perfect. It was perfect. It was better than what I had hoped for. What you hope for is the 10-0 Yankees, throttling. But what you get is you suck all the juice out of them, baby.
Bro, that's a
game they're destined to win.
Yep.
And you just take it out for, oh my God.
Now this is the most cliche thing ever, but the momentum, next day starting pitcher. You have Verlander tonight, but we talked about the starting pitching in the series yesterday. This just feels like a series that there's going to be a million runs. I just have that gut feeling that Verlander's not going to have it, Cole's not going to have it, Tyone didn't have it last night. I just see this being a really wacky, ton of runs being scored type of series. It just has that vibe going right now.
Well, I mean, they hit 4 3-run home runs last night. Right. I mean, when's the last time you can remember that? I mean, the whole game was 3-run home runs. I know, exactly. And that's what makes what Judge is doing special, too. Home run numbers are down all over the place. The guy's hitting 1 million. It was just an amazing night in the Bronx. The crowd was into it. Obviously, they get behind 6-3, and it's not quite the level. But that 9th inning was October, bro.
I know.
And I understand, and I know our producer has the sentiment, and some people have it. And, I got a little bit on Twitter that, I'm a little over the top with how important this series is. And then when they're down 6-3, I'm getting a lot of, this is the statement's made. The Astros are better than the Yankees. Whatever, fine.
Way to touch the money, Twitter. Do we wait for the game to friggin' end before we rub it in?
You have to enjoy these moments. And this series is important. This series is special. And the atmosphere in the building, I mean, this is a series that's probably going to happen in the come postseason time, and these games mean something. I refuse to believe they
don't. It's personal.
It's a little personal, but these games mean something. The next time Presley's out on the mound in a big spot against the Yankees, this will be in the back of his mind. These games are important. The Yankees you can't tell me that The reason they have 9 walk-off wins is in part because they had 8 walk-off wins prior. There is something to these things. Yeah. There is some. All right, so, this game on itself, they lose it, fine. They're still 11 games up in the standings. You move on, no big deal. The Astros are a good team. But you win it, and you set a precedent of, I don't care how far behind we are. I don't care the situation. Bring me your best. I'm going to beat you. And these things mean something. So to have that win in the Bronx last night was just, it could not have been any sweeter. If you're a Yankee fan, last night was incredibly sweet. And now you're looking to roll it over right into Verlander, public enemy number 1.
No doubt.
On the team of public enemy number 1 is Verlander, and you get him tonight with Severino on the mound.
Yeah, it's Verlander, Altuve, Bregman, who got you for the 3-run homer last night. To me, it's the mental warfare. This is a psych-out situation. The Astros are in the Yankees' heads. They're in the fans' heads. So when you have a win, like you said, if it would have been, because I thought the same thing last night. I'm like, they couldn't have just friggin' won 8-0, 7-1, 6-2. No. They had to come back. They had to have that dramatic ninth inning, because those sting. Those are the wins that where you're like, wow, that really stung. And if for some reason Verlander, who I think is going to get hit tonight, doesn't have it tonight, now all of a sudden you're starting to think, oh my God, the tide has completely turned. And in a vacuum, this games don't mean anything, right? In the standings, it's 1 of 162. But for the long term, when you see, because they're going to see the Astros again, now the Astros in the back of their mind going, these are not the same Yankees that rolled over and died like they did all these other years in the postseason.
And for us, as Yankee fans and here in New York, it's what a great win. But if you're an average observer of baseball, if you're a baseball fan and just watching last night, it was a much more brutal loss for the Astros than it was a great victory for the Yankees. That is a loss because, let's be honest, we all know the Yankees are a runaway train right now. They have the best record in baseball. You said it. Every stat is they're the best at this. They have the most come-from-behind wins. They have the least blown losses. They have this. They have that. They're doing the most since 1947, this, that, and the other. And for them to come into the building, shut the building up in the first 3 innings, hit a starting pitcher that hasn't really been touched up all year long to take a 6-3 lead and try and make a statement of their own with their best pitcher on the mound the next day, that is a devastating loss for the Astros. It's just a devastating loss. It could not have worked out better for the Yankees in the Bronx. 877-337-6666. Obviously, the other big story is what the Knicks did in the draft last night. We'll get to it. Pretty much what they're doing is they're trading, they're trying to accomplish as much draft capital and as much money to overshadow all the mistakes of last year. That's pretty much what they've done. They're trying to get off so they can bring in a player who is average at best.
Oh, at best. He's a good player, not a great player, not a max player. This is not the type of guy you build your team around.
I wish I had a different opinion than everybody else, but we understand what's going on here. It's an absolute disaster. It has been for 20 years. I am beaten down. I am broken. You can't hurt me anymore, Knicks. Like they like to say pressure is a privilege. That's like the new thing. Apparently Boomer made it up. I don't know. Buck Showalter saying that pressure is a privilege. You know what else is a privilege? Pain. Pain is a privilege. I know you might not think so as a Met fan, but trust me, pain is a privilege. And the Knicks, they don't have the privilege of causing me pain. It's hard for me to really get upset with them. They got me up for the 4th seed a couple years ago, and then bing bong, for a week, you felt pretty good about where this team was going. And since then, it's right back to the disaster it was 20 years ago. So you could try and sell me on all the 3 number 1 picks. They already got rid of Kemba, maybe for $9 million and a first-round pick, for a first-round pick in exchange for $9 million off the cap. Bravo. And then they get some more. They're going to try and bring in Brunson. I have no faith whatsoever that from top to bottom of this organization that anyone knows what the hell they're doing, that any kind of plan, even if it's rooted in good thinking, will come to fruition. I have no faith whatsoever. So I could yell about it like everybody else, and we could talk about how it was so disappointing, and Stephen A. Smith has his head in his hands, and this one and that one, what are the Knicks thinking? They have to come out with a statement just to try and placate the fan base. You don't have to placate me. I know you stink. I've known you stink for 20 years, and I no longer care about you stinking, and wake me up when you actually have a team me worth giving a damn about. That's how I feel about the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't need to hear from Leon Rose today because, well, first of all, a statement's embarrassing. How about you meet the media, you get out of witness protection program, and you actually speak to somebody. I don't need to see a piece of paper that somebody else wrote and they printed it out and they sent it to the fans. Stick with us, fans. You created this mess, Leon Rose. You created the problem. So I don't need to see that you have all these picks and how you're going to get out of this problem because it's a problem that you created, and I have no faith that you can fix it.
No, and we've created this kind of space, and we're in the free agency.
Please.
You're clearing space of mistakes made last year.
Correct.
Like last year, 100%. You blew it. And
Awful.
made Fournier, just Kemba, mistake, Noel,
Rose,
mistake,
Randall, all of them.
mistake after mistake after mistake. And now we're all supposed to be pleased that you've created some sort of space to cover up your mistakes of last year. No thanks. But whatever. It is what it is. I'd much rather talk about Hicks hitting 3-run home runs to win a game for the New York Yankees, who are now 52-18 and flying through the American League like a hot knife through butter. It's a great time to be a Yankee fan. 877-337-6666. McMonigle and Lugauer filling in for Carton and Roberts. We got you all the way till 6:30 and the sweet melodic tones of John Sterling.